Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Hong Kong Palace Museum. Thank you for attending today's panel discussion, Women Leadership, the Power of Cultivation and Collaboration in the Creative Industry. The panel discussion is one of the featured programs of the Art in Ink Festival, jointly presented by the UOB Art Academy and the Hong Kong Palace Museum, and supported by UOB. The festival underlines the dynamism and depth of Chinese ink art, serving as a platform to nurture local artistic talents and inspiring the study and appreciation of Chinese arts and culture. In this panel discussion, we welcome 4 esteemed female leaders from diverse industries, each at the helm of major institutions, who will share their personal journeys and experience. At the end of the sharing, there will also be a Q&A session. Without further ado, welcome our panelists on stage. Mrs. Christine Yip, CEO, Greater China and Head of Group Strategy, Communication and Brand of UOB, who will moderate the panel discussion. Professor Anna Chan, Dean of the School of Dance of the Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts. Ms. Karen Chan, JP, Executive Director of Pu Group Company Limited, and founder and creative director of Collection. And Ms. Daisy Wang, Deputy Director of the Hong Kong Palace Museum. I will now pass the time to Mrs. Christine Yip, who will be our moderator today. Mrs. Yip, please.
So, welcome everybody's coming in. I know there are more coming in from outside. Today, suddenly the temperature dropped so much. But here, I hope you can see the energy, the passion, and the people, the leadership transformation that you can see in this room. And for information, our session will be recorded and we'll put up on the YouTube channel that you can take a look, and also other social media channel as well later on. So I'm extremely excited because these 3 very well-known, renowned women leaders, not just in their space, but they are also my friends in different capacity that we can collaborate and together. So I always tell people that I'm in a very boring industry, banking, okay? But I always envy them, the 3 of them really doing something in the creative space and making a difference and make Hong Kong shine. And that's why I think that's important. So early on, I just mentioned about, let me quickly introduce them again. So Anna is the Dean of School of Dance of Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts. For those who didn't know, actually Hong Kong APA is now #1 in Asia and is the top leading performing universities in the world. So she is the one who really contributed to the success, from performer to educator. And then another, my dear friend Karen, and Karen Chan is an entrepreneur and also the leader, the executive director of German Pu, a very famous Hong Kong homegrown brand that is now very famous in Asia and the rest of the world. So Karen, not just being an entrepreneur in the industrial space, but she transformed now in also becoming a well-renowned fashion designer, Sparkle Collection. And you can see this is Sparkle Collection's output. And for those who attended the opening ceremony for the Art in Ink Festival, my outfit, my cheongsam, actually was really curated by Karen, and I really enjoyed and loved it very much. And then, of course, she is the host of Hong Kong Palace Museum, our Deputy Director, Head of Curatorial Programs of Hong Kong Palace Museum. So thank you so much, Daisy, for joining us and to give us and put together such a beautiful place to showcase to the rest of the world how great in the museum space that we can be. So with all this, and I'll be very curious that all of us, people always saying that women are very busy, carrying different kind of roles, and what makes you lead and inspire to be a leader in the space that you are in. From a performer to educator, and then from an entrepreneur, suddenly move all the way to becoming a fashion designer. And very difficult for people to believe in that. And of course, for Daisy to move from her home all the way to Hong Kong to create something out of nothing. So I would love to hear each of you to share your story. Yeah. Maybe Anna, go first.
Thank you, Christine, and so lovely to be seated with all these admirable leader. So, Christine, I'm very interested when you ask me what is the pathway that we become a leader. In fact, I never think of this word leader. It comes so. I would say it's become so natural. Actually, the word terminology leader is actually people giving to me. Yeah, I feel like I'm more like a connector, or maybe someone that just loves to collaborate with people, whether they are more senior than me or more junior, like my students or my artists. I feel like this connector position is more suitable for me, because being a collaborator, we are able to bring all kinds of different expertise, people that passion in the same ideas, that can work in the same platform, that we can make something different for the world. How to transition from a performer, being an educator and also a producer? I think learning from experience, learning from people that I admire, learning from observing people that make a difference, and also always very grateful to people that actually pave a very good platform for me to step up. I think that is what I call a leader that can make a change, a leader that can make a difference, and then a leader that can build a step for the next leader to step up is someone that I really admire.
For me, because of my background, is people will see me in the industrial sector or the commercial sector. But because I actually helped my father to run the family business, so to really sustain a business and pass on the torch and to make sure the heritage can be passed on is something always in my DNA. It's just, I think Cheongsam is my, I don't want to say it's a fate, but actually I come across Cheongsam through my journey of innovating German Pool as a brand, because all along we try to be very innovative, we try to be very creative, and to sustain a very traditional business, as you can think, our major business is in water heater to start. It's like, it's not sexy, it's boring. But how to make it fun, how to make it lifestyle is always in our DNA to rejuvenate a brand. When I come across Cheongsam, and I only see beauty in it, but it's a pity that younger generation, like even our generation, I'm not young, but people of my age will not consider wear a Cheongsam maybe except for our very big day. So at one of the occasions that I won an entrepreneur award as a women leader, I represent the commercial side. At that moment, I thought I should wear something that represents my roots. So I picked Cheongsam. And for that particular piece, I'm so honored that it is actually collected as a permanent exhibit in the Hangzhou Silk Museum. And that's how I started to do Cheongsam. And I find actually if you put your heart, put your love, put creativity in something people would think is like a sunset industry or something is old. If you put, your love in it and all the creativity, the great ideas is actually, I found all my ideas in just the smaller things happen in my life. My headquarters is in Gaolong, is in Togawan. It is one of the oldest cities in Hong Kong. And all my inspiration are actually from that hood. Or the mailbox, the floor tiles, the old Hong Kong nostalgia store that you find, the soda cap, the soda bottle, things like that is actually inspire me. I think it's just how you be an active observer and apply the beautiful things and just kind of change the traditional things into a more contemporary and modern way. So I would really love to use Cheongsam as a vehicle to celebrate how fortunate we are and how much we love our culture, our roots. So I'm so fortunate to meet Cheongsam, and I really want to make use of our Chinese heritage and so many beautiful Hong Kong elements and transform and making sure all generations, despite the age, despite the body shape, will be able to keep carry this beautiful heritage for the next generations.
I have to say I'm incredibly lucky to be on this panel with three wonderful women leaders, Christine, Anna, and Karen. I think that I never thought too carefully about the term women leadership. But if you ask me why I came all the way from Boston area, where I was endowed a curator, which means I have lifelong job security, to come all the way to Hong Kong to make a new museum out of a hole in the ground. When I came in 2019, this place was a hole in the ground. Because we started a construction only 1 year ago, 2018. I think that, I would agree with Karen and also Anne. Number one, I love to make connections. And number two, I'm passionate about art, particularly Chinese art. I think that to be able to come here and to work with a group of people, whether I know them or not know them, and I think that was a wonderful magic moment because this museum would not happen if we don't have help from everybody, both locally, nationally, and internationally. Everybody wants this museum to happen, but as a leader, you need to bring people together. People have different perspectives, but they have one shared goal, is to make this museum a reality. I think that was very important. Number two, when I was in the US, I was there for 17 years, and I started as a scholar, then become a junior curator. My first job at Asia Society New York was to wipe vitrine glass, because at the time it was financial downturn. As somebody who has a PhD, I was asked to clean vitrine glass where objects are held. But I also learned that, in every field you can excel if you do your very best. So, of course, I was complaining. I had a PhD. Why do I need to wipe vitrine glass? Director told me, well, budget cut. We look at every way to reduce cost. And having PhD to work there, to clean vitrine glass before 10 o'clock, before everybody came to the museum was the way. Okay, I accept it. I learned a lot from wiping this vitrine glass. And guess what? I applied the knowledge I learned there 15 years ago to acquire $140 million value vitrine glasses from Italy. I know what is good. I know what kind of things I need to use to clean vitrine glass, what kind of things are bad for the vitrine glass. So I can make that judgment call thanks to my early training, right? So I think that it's the passion. I was a curator. I love what I do because it's more, like you said, you think it's more creativity. You think what I do, creativity. No, for the most part, I handle procurement projects. I handle legal documents. I handle, like yourself, hundreds of emails, if not thousands of emails every day. I saw problems. I told my staff, if you're doing fine, don't come to my office. You have issues, knock on my door, call me, email me, WhatsApp me. Let me solve your problem, right? So I think that is the passion for Chinese art and also passion to see everybody else can enjoy what they do. Everybody else can actually pursue their passion. I think it's that kind of sense of responsibility that attracted me to take on a bigger role. I was never a chief curator. I was never a deputy director. I was a curator, but I was able to use my skills, even like wiping vitrine glasses, talk to people, connect people, make other people successful is that a kind of mentality that leads me to Hong Kong? And I'll say that, as a leader, I would say the most important thing is sacrifice and also to take on even more responsibilities.
What I hear is we really have to be a super connector and to be a collaborative person and to have the passion and sacrifice to do the things. And when we talk about connecting, I think we are not just connecting people, we are connecting the East and West. And Hong Kong, this is our strength. And I still believe this will be our strength and continue to be. And I also hear that we try to connect our heritage from the past, today, and transform for tomorrow and make it still a very vibrant scene. And that's what I learned as well. But based on what Daisy just mentioned, so they're tough lives, okay. But when you start to work on this, well, very typical, we are in Asia. And in Asia, and even if you grew up in States from Asian families, normally there is a lot of expectation that either you have to be a doctor, a lawyer, or accountant. Number 4, bankers, okay? To be in the creative industry. And what is the critical success factor? You can make all your dreams come true. And how can you explain to your loved ones? Today, Karen's mommy is here, so to let her to be a fashion designer, there's so much, I think, you need to break through. So what is the things that you break through and make who you are, so that you can realize your dreams today?
I think I'm going to take this. First of all, I want to respond to what Daisy just mentioned. We the women, that we roll our sleeves, right? And we just do everything. When you say you're cleaning a glass, I still remember when I was a young dancer, I actually went to the restaurant and worked from the bottom. And then after I being a dancer and then into an administrator, the first job I did was to stick stamp. I remember that, but just because of that, we are able to understand different tiers of people working for the same goal. Now, back to your first questions. The second question, the passion, is possibly my trump card, that my parents allow me to go into dance, okay? I think being a dancer in the Chinese society, I do have to break through a lot of hurdles, particularly coming from a very business-oriented family. I'm the first artist in the family. At the age of 16, I want to pursue a dance, and my parents just say, you got 2 options. No, being a dancer, maybe a dance teacher, because from a commercial perspective, you can earn money being a dancer. No, you can't. Or you do something else. So my persistence, my passion, and I did make a promise to them. I said, perhaps let me dance first. Then after I retired, I would definitely pursue a degree. Now in the 80s, I just want to mention that in the 80s, when you study dance or study any kind of performing arts, you don't get a degree. The highest you can get is professional diploma, because there's no degree. And then in a traditional family, no degree means you're putting shame on your family, okay? Because everyone has to be successful. Everyone, you have to get a degree, you get a business, you get a good career. So on that was also a big hurdle. But I did make a promise. I said, if I retired, then I would definitely go and get a degree. So I did. I think keeping the promise, perhaps is something that also a quality that all of us sitting here, when we promise something, we would do it. So at the age of almost 27, when I sort of transitioned from being a dancer into something else, I actually went back and did my first master degree. So my mom was very, very happy after I got a master degree. So I did, yeah, another tick box. And back to what Daisy and even Karen was saying, that passion, observation, learning from experience, and not be afraid to take on any particular role. Being a mom, being a daughter, being a wife. I think that is a natural shared qualities amongst four of us here because we are able to transfer the skills from one position to the next. Being a dancer, you only learn how to dance, but needless to say, the collaboration you do in the group dance, the resilient skills, dancing on a very dirty floor, very cold, miserable stage, touring around Europe, those are the things that you learn, and then you just suddenly realize when you're in different position, you're able to use those skills and then make a difference.
For me, I'm very grateful to have a very liberal mom and dad, because I think since I think primary school, my mom never, actually my father never forced me to, what subjects you need to be, you don't have to be going to Ivy League or, but my mom, she gave me one very inspiring quote, that is, 爭氣. So in English, I interpret as to be the best version of yourself and in charge of whatever and be responsible for yourself. I think that is a very important quality that I bring along. So I still remember when I applied for university and I asked my father, any particular major you want me to focus on? And my father refused to choose for me. And for some reason, I picked business administration. And maybe deep down, I think maybe one day I will have to help him. But actually, he never asked me to help him. But I always want to be the best version of myself. I think, like when I'm raising my kid, the same thing. I never want to compare him with other people. I think because there's so many different factors, there's so many different variables to make a person, whether it's successful or not, it's not to be better than other people, but given your own circumstances, your own different upbringing, everyone should just be focusing on doing the better version of yourself and always compete not with others, but me of yesterday me. I want to be better me every single day. And that's what I teach my son as well, too. I want him to have a happy life. I didn't really force him to do things, but I want him every single day, if you can be a better you. And out of, 365 days a year, you have improved 365, things. And if you times 10, it's like about 4,000, improvements. So I think this is always, I shoot for the best in myself and always challenge myself to things out of my comfort zone. And taking over the company and a lot of challenges because we are parachuting, into a organization. And my father's company is 42 years old now. I'm about that age. As you can imagine, a lot of, founding members. They see me, grow up. We are colleagues now. So it's really a taboo to when you parachute into a company and you do the commander role. And, there's a Chinese saying, 佢哋食鹽多過你食米. And also they have built a very successful company when I already, back to the company like 18 years ago. So you always have to find, in my discipline, I study marketing. So you always need to find your blue ocean. You need to always find ways that you can contribute. And so when I come back to the company, I find a blue ocean, which is to do branding for the company and try to prove that I'm valuable and to build a reputation that way. The same thing when I'm doing fashion. I have no clue, I don't know, because I'm not studying in that arena. But I'm always in touch with beautiful things, designs and art, and I manage designers under my team. So I try to make sure my staff also like me. We always try our very best to the best of us because I cannot really push them to do something that they're not passionate in. So I always need them to share my passion and to be the best of them. And then the whole team, I form my team in a way, always like to use an analogy. I'm like building a holistic person. If I am the brain, then I want to have my hands, my foot, my eyes, my nose, as a whole together, we make a whole body, the whole person. So always to shoot for the best version of each of ourselves. Don't always compare, and you will excel. And through all the there's always up and downs, and fashion is a new arena. My assistant, she helping me to build from ground zero as a fashion brand, and it's pretty much it's the same core team, but they're able to transform together and grow together. And I wouldn't say we're successful, but to be able to achieve where we are is not one person's job, it's the whole team. And I try to inspire my team to share the same passion I have and be the better brand every single day. So that's how we keep up the work and keep going.
And sorry, I never thought about a fashion designer would think about working as a team. Dance, I can imagine, okay, but it's inspirational. Yeah, Daisy.
Oh, I'm learning a lot from Christine, how you moderate this session, as well as Anna and Karen. I want to go back to your point about cross-cultural, sort of the situation where I face and many other people face. When I was in the United States, I was of course defined as a female, and again, I was often defined as an Asian female, not just Chinese female, right? So my previous position was curator of Chinese and East Asian art. And that is a very small field in the United States. So I consulted many wonderful leaders in my field, in the museum field, and I always receive this encouragement because, I said, well, I'm pretty good at writing papers and writing papers and books. I'm pretty good at curating exhibitions. Right now I have a dilemma. Shall I go to sort of more management side? Should I go to the more academic side? So the advice I received is, number one, in the United States, the field is rather small, and we need more Asian leaders, period. Asian leaders, not just in the, in your small museum field, everywhere in the United States, right? Second is that in our field, we need more women leaders. For example, if you look at National Gallery, Washington, D.C., my colleague, Kay-Win, recently took the helm as the first female director of the National Gallery in Washington, D.C., and I think the trend is there. More women are taking leadership role in the United States, and I also hope more Asian women will take leadership role in the museum field in the United States. So when I came to Hong Kong, I was kind of surprised, and I looked around. That was 2019. At the time, many major museums director were women. Science Museum, the time, Hong Kong Heritage Museum.
Yeah,
yes. And so I was very surprised, happily surprised, right? I'm not saying, guys are not doing their job. There are many
National Gallery Singapore also
museum leaders, male museum leaders in the field as well. And also, I thank Hong Kong for giving me a leap of faith, because, I told you, I wasn't a chief curator when I came here. I wasn't a museum director. I've never been a museum director. And they hired me at the time. I was just a curator. They hired me as a deputy director to lead the content production of this museum. And I feel Hong Kong has a lot to offer to women in all fields, and I think it's a unique asset in Hong Kong. Of course, maybe I'll throw it back to Christine. Maybe you can talk about, women leader in the banking, the finance industry, to give us a little bit more perspectives.
And then, unfortunately, Hong Kong MA also said that the male are minorities now. Most of when I first being appointed as a CEO in a bank, it was almost 15 years ago, very few, to be honest, at that time, very few. But the last 10 years, I think really advanced. And today, male are the minorities. Unfortunately, I don't know. So actually, because of that, relate to a question. Well, when we are always being asked about, do you see you are at a disadvantaged position versus the male? I will always respond saying that actually in Hong Kong, China, and Singapore, the saying is every successful male, there is a female behind. I tell you, every successful female, there is a female behind. That is your home domestic helper, or your mom, or your mother-in-law. It's very important, but it's the fact that it's easier to get a domestic helper here, facilitate us to take another more important roles as a mom, as a daughter, as a working woman. I would say that. But having said that, instead, because I'm a female, I want to turn around to say that, do you see today male having a disadvantage? Because I also heard something, I feel bad, that people say that, Christine, you got a job because you are female. And there is a mandate to give female more opportunity. So instead of meritocracy, just because we are female, because we're Asian. So I even heard one time when I was working in another international bank, they said that because you are double negative, Asian, female, you get a job, not because you have the capabilities. What do you think about this? And how do you react to that? I feel bad, to be honest, when people told me about this.
I would try to think that way. Like I'm second generation of,
You also have pressure because you come from.
They always say, oh, yeah, 你係太子女 because because you are 太子女, so you can get whatever you have. So people will try to diminish your efforts and credit. So when I'm small, I'm always be true to myself and always know that I just need to be me, and I rarely, really let those negative feedback to make me, not happy and not comfortable. I think in the long run, people will see what you have achieved. It's not because you are whose daughter. It's not because you are the number negative, but because people will see in the long run. So it just need to be the best of yourself. Every single project, I will go like 150 or 200%, the best I can. And in the long run, people will realize, you deserve where you are. So, but now it's difficult because, with social media, people can say so many things, and people just like to, say things. I just don't care. I just be the best of myself. But I do have to think women is more lucky. Because for me, I have my husband as my backbone. I think besides like every successful man, they should have a woman behind. I do say also, every successful woman should have the better half, best man supporting them.
Well, actually, for your information today, Anna, Karen, my husband, 3 men behind us. The 3 men behind us are all here.
We need to give them a big hand for their support, to let us shine. I think it's really important because they let us shine, because we are fortunate to be in such a developed, cities, in the world. And my better half, they never think we should, stay behind the scene. I think this is very important for modern women to have such support. So big hands to all the husbands.
Definitely. I think Hong Kong is a very unique place to sort of look at the gender positions. I remember there was like almost a decade ago in the field of performing arts and dance, there was a lack of female choreographers. Been sort of like talking around to the world. And then suddenly everyone sort of like program female feature kind of seasons. Then when I was talking with my team at that time I was working with the head at West Kowloon, being the first head of the dance in 2014. I was talking with my team. We actually didn't lack of female choreographers in Hong Kong. In fact, we have more female choreographers in Hong Kong than male choreographers. Then we were actually looking at the reason why. Like what Christine and all the guest speakers here, Hong Kong has this very unique place that we have to really give credit to the women behind us, or even the family. I think because we are also living in a very close proximity city, that family is just around us. So we can always get a pool of team support. That is very unique if you compare with many other places in Europe or in the States, when families are living very far away. And you just don't have this support network. I think Hong Kong is very special. But back to the question whether I found myself being sort of in a privileged position, being a woman, being a female, I always think if we do the best, prepare ourselves the best, and not really just using a woman as a trump card, because I know someone would use that as trump card, to do something that you're passionate and do something that you can make a difference to the society, to the institution that you are working for, and most important, to change lives of people. I think what we are here using art is to transform lives for people that may not have the privilege to reach. If we can really go for that goal, go for that value, go for that passion, I think the pathway, it just leads you to where you are.
I said in a very joking way that, there are so many women leaders in the museum field. That's very true. But also, I would say in Hong Kong and many other places in the world, glass ceiling is still there. And let's face it. And also, I think that, if there are opportunities to highlight women leadership, and just like today, and also there are opportunities to privilege Asian and women leaders, I think it's long overdue. Because if you look at human history, how many thousand years that, women has been underprivileged, right? I think it's the right thing to do that. But as each individual, I think that, it's also our responsibility to prove that women matter and we can do the job that you ask us to do. I think it's each individual's responsibility. So I would say, if you are given that opportunity, take it, but it's up to you to prove you can do that job. You can do better than people expect you to do. So I think still, it's still very timely for us to talk about that topic. And going back to, Karen's point and Anna's point about family support, and I always say that, as a leader, doesn't matter as women leader or a male leader or other gender leader, it's very important that, you need to work with a group of people. You have to manage up, manage down, and also work with your peers. And then, self-care is also very important because, if you work alone, sure, you're happy, fine. If you're not so happy, that's fine. You just talk to yourself, right? But when you work with a large organization, your emotional, physical health is very important to your organizational health. And I observe that. When I'm crappy, when I did not eat my breakfast, and I had a nap, sometimes I had an emotional thing. And that's not healthy. So I think, working here as a leader really helped me think more about self-care. When you can really take care of yourself, you can take better care of your organization. You can take better care of other people. One thing also I learned is what Karen said, true to yourself. If you are not feeling well, take a sick day. The work continues without you. And maybe your colleagues can show their leadership skill, great, right? And when you are in a position you really need help, you cannot find your way. I mean, we're all humans. We have our own weakness and vulnerability. Speak out and ask for help. There are a lot of people who are willing to help you. I think that there's a stereotype thinking about, all these women leaders, they're just 100% perfect, always, the perfect height, perfect weight, always have the perfect makeup. No, sometimes I was a mess. And, my office is a mess, I think that, I grew up with this expectation that a successful women need to be perfect in everything they're doing. But that's a myth. Let's blast that myth. Let's recognize our weakness and let's ask for help. So I think that truth to yourself is very dear to my heart. So thank you, Karen and Anna, for making that comment.
No, I also want to sort of echo, I think celebration is important. Celebration, this is an opportunity. I'm not saying that we women shouldn't celebrate and then feature this important position because we are just in a very privileged city or even country that we are able to excel. If we can join force and celebrate and understand each other, I think the world will be better. This is a very, very important sort of a moment that we can all sit together, demonstrate to this industry, particularly in the art industry, that women is just a normal human as well. We can do things better, but we also have our own weakness and strength. How to recognize our own weakness and strength and then excel forward and then support each other is a supporting network that I think we need to celebrate.
Thank you so much. I think one point I agree in particular, and I don't think a lot of forum talk on this point, because honestly, especially between male and female, I will not talk about meritocracy, but one thing is very true, especially in Asia, that it's easier for female women, well, if we don't think things work out well, if we think it's wrong, it's very easy for us to say sorry. Or we can cry, we can borrow the shoulder to each other, and girlfriends, we can blah, 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 talk among each other. We go out to do shopping and eat together. But male, because of the image, the society, the sociology. So I also encourage our male buddies, just allies, to be yourself. If you want to cry, you cry. If you want to play hard and work hard, just do it. Be yourself. But one point I thanked Daisy for reminding. Yes, I would say as of today, there's still glass ceiling. And even in our industry, in the financial industry, where I said there's a lot of senior female executive, but in the boardroom, still less than, I think in Hong Kong, less than 12% of the board members are actually female. And these board members are normally executive members, not the independent board members. There's a lot of history because probably in the good old days, many women have to stay home after a certain age. There's not much broad category of jobs that we can pick on. And by the time today in the boardroom, it's also many retirees. So end up, it's also quite natural. So I think that a lot of things is evolving. I hope that will change as well. But I think we have talked so much, and I see there's a lot of, as I said, male buddies as well as female friends here. So maybe I'll open the floor. Any questions from the floor that people would like to ask? And be bold. And I think my panel speakers are all very authentic and very open. Be bold and ask questions. Anyone?
Hi, Jeff here. You guys talked about this idea of a double negative earlier. I think Christine mentioned about getting a position because you're Asian and a woman, and you admitted that it doesn't make you feel good when that happens. And on the flip side of that coin is that some men feel discriminated because, we're losing out on a position because we're not that double negative. So this is really a systemic problem, right? And I think the panelists, Karen, Anna, and Daisy, shared a lot about how they deal with this issue personally themselves, but as not just leaders of enterprise, but thought leaders. What do you think is the solution on a systemic level for this sort of, I don't even know what you call it, this problem, this issue, for both men and women? And also secondly, as you said, as male allies, what role can we play in fixing that issue?
Wow, big questions. Thank you so much.
That is a very good question. As an art historian and historian, I want to invite you to go back to the Qing dynasty in the 19th century, where women shall not rule. That is the rule, okay? Women shall not rule. However, you do have people like Empress Dowager Cixi ruled China for nearly half a century in a place women shall not rule. So how did she do that? So she worked with other people around her, particularly men in power. So my advice is that for guys who feel disempowered, work with women around you and work with men around you to empower yourself. I think that's very important. So networking is a hallmark of leadership, regardless of gender. Another one I would say, going back to history, if you look at anywhere in China and other parts of the world, two major factors to get women to the power, or what do you call it, gender equality, so-called, right? But that term is also, can be defined in different ways. So number one is education. Women, knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is power. Women get educated. Today, I think in Hong Kong, I read some statistics back to a few years ago that you definitely in Hong Kong, you got a lot more female students in universities than male students. Okay, women are ahead of men. So number two is more women are getting into the workforce. So they get financial power, they get independence. So these two combined are very important. So, you guys, no matter which gender, you need to think about, how do you get more knowledge, more skills? And also, how do you work high up in the workplace? But I think going back to, what you said, is the scale tilting in such a way that is so unequal for men. I think you need to look at a big picture, not this way. If you look at history, I'm still going back to history, for thousands of years, women shall not rule. Women shall work at home. Women shall not go to the workplaces for thousands of years. And I think, sure, we need to address contemporary issues. We also need to have historical perspectives. And in Hong Kong, of course, we see improvement. We're not there yet for gender equality. So I think that we need to work harder to get women, capable women, I'm not talking about disqualified women, into the workforce, into the place where it should be, but we should get those qualified women into the place where they deserve, okay? I'm not saying men should be excluded. That's never our intention. And most importantly, I think that we need to open up the kind of dialogue that raise more questions, like you said, so men and women can work together, not in a binary way, women or men. Can be women and men together, happily, right? So I think that we need to think beyond that binary men and women. Now, gender is also defined in a more open, fluid ways, right? There are third gender, there are people beyond gender definition. So I just think we need to be more open-minded, think out of the box, and have empathy and respect for each other.
Definitely the respect and being open-minded is, I will add on that. I think the world is not just black and white, female and male. Now we are facing a very, very complicated world. With the humanity, I think it's important. Being respectful in whoever you're working with, whether they are gender difference, society difference, ethnicity different, all around the world. If there's a respect, I think the world that we are all going to live in, that we're going to all work together, will be a better place. And I think the key point, I also want to support what JC is saying. I think we are here not saying that because you are gender as being a female, you deserve that role. I think we are all here working very hard. We are all trying to be a better self of ourselves, and we are educated, we are capable to be able to deserve a position that being people look upon.
Yeah, I think that will be the same answer to the earlier question is to stay positive and be you. I never think of gender favorism in any sense. Where my background is industrialist. So industrialist is man dominant, engineering dominant. Appliances industry, mainly men, we mingle with men. But I never think of male or female in whatever role. I just be the best of myself. I think the flip side of it, no matter whether you're a male or female, just be the best of you. Then you will be, you will shine along the way, and people will see it. They know it. So still the same answers to what I answered before. Just be the best version of yourself and find the best opportunity to shine and keep lifelong learning and keep, conquer the different comfort zone and find your blue ocean. Find something that you can shine. If people already, doing so well, then just find the different arenas. And the world is so big, there's so many different problems in the world we need to solve. So why we bother to, just, compete in a small area? Find a new arena and be creative, and just the best of you is enough. And after 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, you will see yourself excel. And I never have gender question in my mind. I'm just so fortunate because I studied in Hong Kong and I educated in the States. Never something bothered me, even when I joined my family business. Even it is like pretty much dominated by male. But you just need to find good projects. Give yourself a chance to shine. That's how I see it.
So what I hear is you have to be yourself, but work hard based on meritocracy, networking. We are a social animal, so we need to interact, and also no need to all compete in the same zone. Find your blue ocean, then you find a new, unique opportunity and shine out of that. I can give you one more approach. Just then what I think the three panelists talk from how we can do it. So I think on an institutional based, so UOB is one of the leading financial institutions, especially in ASEAN. So we have 28,000 population. In my role and what I've done every year, and maybe some of my colleagues also didn't know, I actually monitor and look into with my human resources team for each department, different level, what's the composition? Do we have enough balance? I do look into that because I also believe that if there are more balanced people with diversity and more inclusive, different genders, racial, ethnic ratio in the group, then you have a better idea, a better perception and understanding of your customers and what they want. And also I believe in equal opportunity. But having said that, even within which, just for an example, if I see certain department, they have a very high ratio of male over female, then I would look into why certain kind of jobs, biologically, it's better, it's easier or male maybe like to do it in a better way, so let it be. And then in certain area, maybe more in like customer service or call center, and probably female, because of our motherhood inborn, God created us as a mother, that's kind of nature, more willing to listen, more patient. Then that kind of roles, there will be more female as a result. But overall, we need to make sure that as leaders, that we need to make sure that there's a more balanced view, and that is the responsibility, I think, for the senior leaders, for all the institution, whatever industry that we are. Then I guess then we add up and roll it up to the industry level and roll it up probably to the country, the government leaders, whether they put into guidance, I will not say law, but guidance as to how different industries and companies needs to operate. And then we will have a more harmonious operating environment. And that's how I see it. Any other questions? Thank you so much. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Christine, I just want to sort of respond to your comments, which is I feel like, UOB is very lucky to have you. But also I hope that each and every leader in your industry, in our industries, whether they're men or women, can think in your way. You're thinking that way not because you're women. You're thinking in that way because this will make your bank better. So I think that is the mentality. People tend to think, oh, because you are women, so you think about promoting women, helping women. That's not the way, right? It's because you're gonna make this organization a much better place for everybody. The other thing I just want to respond to your comment about, some of the things maybe more suitable physically for men or women. I think things are changing. When I was a teenager, this is my personal story, my father is a very traditional Chinese man. He wants to have a son, but I'm the single child, so he's a bit upset. He's very happy now. So one of the things he asked me about is, at the time we're living on the 6th floor, there's no elevator, right? So there's no lift. So he said, oh, when I'm getting older, sons will be more helpful than daughters, because you can't carry me all the way up. I said, I'm gonna make enough money to hire some people to carry you. Guess what? We all have lifts now, right? I think this is the same for a lot of other industries with AI, with technology. A lot of things, historically, men can do better, women can do equally well. And sometimes we can do better if we work harder. So I think that, these kind of dynamics are changing as society changes. So I think that, we definitely have a whole lot of opportunities and challenges for women in all sectors in the society. And then I think, again, it's about awareness raising. And I think I don't blame any man here, because even when I grew up, I got my own stereotype. And if you, let's just say, very simple test, if you go to an auction house, you see a beautiful, beautiful gold vase from the Imperial Palace in the Forbidden City, you must marvel at it, saying, oh my God, it was used by the emperor. My research shows women inside the palace can use equally good objects, right? So I think it's a stereotype, not because you dislike women, it's a stereotype that instilled by our society. Everybody is suffering from that, right? So how do we address that? Even historically, at West Kowloon Cultural District at Hong Kong Palace Museum, we celebrate women's achievements in history, today, and the future. In my gallery, I hope you will go to our galleries, we're showing historical objects. We intentionally raise the ratio of objects we identify as women's objects inside the Forbidden City. In every field, you can do something, regardless you're men or women, to raise the awareness of women. I think that's important. For guys, you guys have wives, you guys have daughters, you have mothers, you have aunts, you have female students, you have somebody who helped you as a woman, right? It's gonna be better. This world gonna be better when we celebrate women's achievements in our small ways.
I really want to respond to what I heard here in this very, very encouraging panel. What we're talking about here is also in a very developed country that we have been working on, and it really, really inspired me to think outside. If we're in not privileged places, women position, how can we do that? Back to the celebration. I think what we're doing here now is to champion this success and also champion what we can do. And then hopefully this can be a very good example if we all bring together, every single one of us hearing this. If you happen to be in places that women is still deprived, women opportunity is still not given, we should see there's a part of the world that can do that. And let's help those that they are living in a very unprivileged places.
Very encouraging. I think in the interest of time, maybe just one last question. Anyone? Well, all our male buddies asking.
I want to say something as a man. Now, I have been teaching in the university for a long time. This is my 39th year teaching in the university. when I was an undergraduate student, then I can say that at that time, most of the university students were male. But today, most of the university students are female. Even medical school has 60% of the students who are female. So this is a fact that women are not underprivileged. And if you look at the population, look at the university population, the student population, then 20 years later, I believe most of the top professions, most of the top jobs in different professions would be female. So I don't see that women are being underprivileged. And so I'm not saying something against your views, but anyway, that's my observation. And I feel a crisis among our male students because many of them are just interested in playing video games, computer games. They're not interested in studying for exams. They're not good in memory. They're not memorizing the facts. And that's why most of the female students do better in exams, in IB, in DSE. So I feel a crisis among our male students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I see this is not a question but a comment that we all need to, male allies, let's help our younger future population all work together harder. Any other questions? Oh, okay, sorry, over to the center. It's becoming a debate soon.
Well, I just want to echo, I'm a retired university teacher. I'm looking forward to have another sharing section. Maybe the topic will be 巾幗性騷味, secret and tips behind. I'm looking forward to that program again. Thank you.
Thank you for all the encouragement to all the female leaders. But I think in the interest of what I hear is with all this interesting, authentic, I would say very authentic dialogue. So the future of, let's going back, not just women leaders, but coming back to the future of the creative industry in Hong Kong. How do you see it? Or maybe even for Asia, vis-a-vis the West, the East with West. And in your role, what you think that we all need to do better for the future? Can you name one element that we can do, like be the better of ourselves, like every day improve? What can we do?
I'm not just representing females in Hong Kong. I think that I'm representing perhaps a small part in the culture and creative industry. I think Hong Kong is a wonderful place, and I hope that we can work together to be more ambitious.
Ambitious.
For me, I have to quote in Chinese first and translate. There's a saying in 三字經，首孝弟，次見聞，知謀數，識謀文. For me, I think when I try to teach my son, I think it's very important for him. Of course, he has to have the academic background, but it's more and more to induce creativity. It's not Rome built in one day. Creativity is like from every single day life. You have to be, have an open-minded to get yourself to be exposed and be inspired and to see as many things as possible, beautiful things, small little things, your culture, your roots, your neighborhoods and whatnot. I think creativity is something that is like accumulating experience. For me, I'm not trained as an art student, not trained as a fashion student, but I'm doing it because of my job. I like to go to museum. I like to see beautiful things. I see a lot of good designs. That's how I'd open up myself to be exposed to nice things and then put into a kind of a business way of approaching art and fashion and how to mix things together. So when I teach my son, I want him to see the world If if you're more from a better background, of course you can go travel. If you have less budget, then just go to the different districts in Hong Kong. There's so many beautiful things, the neighborhoods. You find so many, things that can be inspired. Just let yourself inspired. I don't think creativity can be taught. It's something that you have to immerse yourself and see it. And it's like a feeling. Art and design is quite different, but art especially is, you have to accumulate that throughout your whole, as a person, as a whole journey. You accumulate things, from small. So I think the next generation is not about memorizing things. For me, my upbringing is all about memorizing things because I'm from a traditional girls' school. But now I see people who can shine, let it be men or female. Creativity is from, how much you see, how much you exposed. So see the world.
See the world, exploration.
I think the future, AI is going to take over. Technology is going to take over. In fact, last week I was having this conference in Guangzhou. We are also looking at what is creativity for the future, if we are nurturing the future young artists, not in dance, in general. There's a word come up, authenticity is important, because there's so many things that can be actually replicated by AI, by technology, but what makes creativity or what makes the world can move forward in very unique way and very different is the authenticity. And the authenticity has so many layers of understanding. Empathy is part of it. When AI has no more empathetic feelings, because they can make the best things, and suddenly things will come up, but they still does no emotion. I think what makes creativity still have the soul and heart, authenticity and emotion. Empathy is important.
Authenticity, empathy. So I learn a lot from my three girlfriends and professionals in their space, that first, for our future, I think it's not just for Hong Kong, but for the world, let's be bold, have the ambition. Go and see the world, explore, exploration. But the key is, at the end of the day, as a true human being, whether we have the authenticity and empathy. And I think that makes a person or an industry or a government successful. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today.
The sharing was truly insightful for everyone. Thank you again to our panelists and everyone for joining us today. A series of diverse programs, including experience shown, immersive screenings, workshop, and performance, will take place at the Palace Academy of the Hong Kong Palace Museum from now until 31st of this month. Please visit our website for a full list programs of the Art in Ink Festival. See you all again at our upcoming events. Thank you.